Welcome to the Fandom Outpost, your podcast for all things pop culture.
Only a little bit of everywhere.
Welcome to the Fandom Outpost, everybody. Today we have an episode dedicated to the movie Longlegs. We have a little review for you today, and today I am joined by our co-host, Jim.
Hello.
How are you doing?
All right. How you doing?
All right. It was something that we've been talking about for the last week or so since this movie came out. I've been dying for you to see it, to get your take on it. We haven't talked about it before or after you've seen it.
No, it's getting quite a bit of buzz, and I can understand why. So this was a rare opportunity where I went out and watched a modern horror movie. I usually don't watch those because I feel a lot of them are similar, unless they break up the unless they have something innovative or I don't know. Things like the Conjuring universe all seem like it's the same movie to me.
I haven't really delved into that one.
And
The Conjuring, Annabelle, is that in there too?
And a lot of that stuff feels like
the doll.
Once I've watched the trailer, I've watched the film.
Right. And there's probably fans of them, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not
series.
discounting that. If that's your jam, then more power to you.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I encourage everyone to check out all different aspects. You and I, we get into the horror a little bit. I know you're more classic and vintage, but I do like that. But I do like the experimental and some of the newer stuff that, like you say, cuts a little new ground or formulates some kind of new technique or something. And I thought this movie was very interesting in the way it kind of used some of the older police procedural tropes and things like that and put a little modern twist on it. So I was going to see what you thought, and we'll get into spoilers in a little bit. We'll let you know when we get into some spoilers, because that's the whole thing with this, right? Is you want to go in as cold as you can, I think.
Right, I did pretty good at that. One of those things I do appreciate about you, Bob, is when you are trying out all these different skinkamarink and anything that really catches your eye, you're willing to just dive in there and take a look at it. And I was able, thankfully, to dodge any spoilers on this, and I tried not to watch any trailers. I tried to keep away from it as much as possible. I went in as cold as I could possibly go in, and other than people saying, "Wow, it's really, it's very impressive," and it picks up toward the end. And so, having done that, and in the internet these days, if you're not seeing it within the first 2 weeks, it's going to be ruined for you.
Yeah, I mean, this one and what I want to start talking about is the marketing campaign going into this movie, because I love marketing campaigns that don't give you everything.
It's fun.
And they didn't show the villain. They didn't show Nick Cage, who plays Longlegs. I just love the fact that they didn't ruin that ahead of time.
Yes.
That was like my favorite thing about it.
Yeah, they really knew how to, there's something to be said for holding all that stuff back. It builds up. It only helps your film. If you have to give it away to begin with, then forget it.
So, Longlegs is this crime thriller, psychological horror, I guess you would call it, directed by Osgood Perkins, which I don't know if you knew, but he's the son of Anthony Perkins.
Oh, did not know that.
Really cool. Yeah, really cool thing.
That's kind of a nice pedigree.
He's got a couple movies under his belt. I don't have them in front of me, but they're a couple titles that he has already done. This one obviously has kind of put him on the map, I think. And it also stars Maika Monroe, who I remember from It Follows, which is another horror movie that I really got into. She was really good in that as the heroine, I guess you'd say, right? The final girl.
Yes, yeah. I kept seeing her, and I kept thinking of the girl from Fallout.
Yeah,
it's almost like they could be similar sister-ish or cousins or something. But no, she was really good. I really enjoyed her performance. So,
Nick Cage again is Longlegs, the creepy serial killer who has a dark secret, and Blair Underwood as Agent Carter, which I thought he was really good.
He was one of my favorite parts of this.
A really good character.
Yeah, he was one of my favorite parts of this. Michigan native Blair Underwood, if I remember correctly.
There you go.
And yeah, it was so good to see him in a movie again. And I'm watching it thinking, why doesn't this guy have, more stuff coming out? So, but yeah, he was really good.
Really good. He's kind of the veteran, right?
He was like, yeah. So I really enjoyed his character, and all throughout the film, I thought he was very good.
Maika Monroe plays Agent Lee Harker. She's the main character in this film, and there's a whole... And we're going to start probably getting a little bit into spoilers in about a moment here. Just as a... before we get into spoilers, a quick synopsis would be there is an incident with this young girl that relates to Agent Harker, and there's a string of serial killings that she investigates and finds out something a little more sinister about them all. Would you say that's a perfect
analogy of without giving too much away.
After that, if you're interested in seeing this movie, I'd recommend not listening to all of it spilled out.
Stop right now.
In its gory details. Stop right now. Otherwise, hang on and we'll kind of go through it. If you've seen it, maybe we could share the experience with you, because I thought it was really, really cool. The first time I saw it again yesterday when you said you were going to see it. I wanted to kind of get another look at it to kind of like, did I really see what I saw?
Right.
And I wanted to kind of sink in a little bit more, and knowing a little bit what the, reading and researching a bit about what the story was, to kind of see how it fit with the dialogue and everything with the story, that now I knew what was happening. So I know there's a lot to dig in with this. I don't even know where to start, I guess.
Yeah, it's getting a lot of comparison to Silence of the Lambs. So would you find that because it's the FBI aspect?
The serial killer toying with the FBI agent aspect too, right?
Right. There is a
little bit.
The villain in his lair aspect to it is very Silence of the Lambs. Gives you a very Buffalo Bill feeling.
Yeah, and I got a little Manhunter feel too.
Yes, yeah, that's fair.
Dollar Hide, and a little bit of the structure of how that is too, where you don't know much about the killer, and then there's a little portion in the middle where they give you a little bit about
just enough
what he's up to.
Just enough, and he's not so. One of the things I appreciated about it is like they didn't give me granular detail on why he is who he is, and they gave me enough to solve the murders, but not like I didn't need to know where he came from and how he exists on the planet. So what made him be the person he is? You
could tie some things together in your mind, I thought, right? Yeah. And that was a cool aspect of it. Silence of the Lambs is a good entry point for this, and we get into the beginning, which is I really love this beginning. It kind of gives you this vibe of the movie, and the movie is made on film, which is cool. I really enjoy that aspect of it. It really has this kind of a gritty vintage feel to it a little bit. And also play with the aspect ratios of the 4:3 for the older flashbacky type stuff, and then we go full screen for the current, which is set in 1995, but the flashback stuff's from 75 when young Agent Harker is a young girl, and she encounters Longlegs in front of her house. And it's just, I just love the beginning of that movie.
Yeah, super atmospheric.
Seeing all these creepy stuff, and yeah, it's atmospheric. You're right. This whole film has some atmosphere to it, and we smash cut to the logo or to the title card, and we're off and running. I know some of the people I've heard and talked to, the Nick Cage aspect. People, I don't know. What do you think about people that with Nick Cage? They either love him or like think he's over the top.
Right. I think he's dialed it right in where it needed to be. Yeah, he needed. It was. If I'm hiring Nick Cage,
that's so weird.
If I'm hiring Nick Cage, I'm not hiring him to be subtle. I'm hiring him to be inventive in acting. It's like hiring like Christopher Walken. I'm hiring him for a specific thing. And Nick was also a producer on this as well.
Yeah, I caught that.
Right. So I enjoyed everything he did. Because he was being weird and unsettling is the point of his character. I like the fact that they went the makeup route on him and how that evolved throughout that.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't explain why. It's like, is he?
Yeah,
it gave you an ambiguous, like, is he male or female? Kind of that. That's also like in the Buffalo Bill type of frame, where the comparisons come in with him at all. But he was in it just enough. He's not in it too much.
A few more scenes may have been too much.
A few more scenes would have too much. Yeah.
I thought he did a great job.
He did.
Yeah. No, cuckoo.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
So.
The cuckoo thing is interesting because I have there's some information I've learned about cuckooing is kind of a term that I think it's from England, where people take over a house.
So the cuckoo bird, what the cuckoo bird does,
and the cuckoo bird, right?
It takes over. It flies. It takes over another bird's nest. Yeah, it lays its eggs in someone else's nest. Is what it does.
Yeah.
There's
that's kind of the feel of what's happening, right?
If you've ever seen if you've ever seen the movie Village of the Damned, it's the story it's based on is the Midwich cuckoos, putting something where it doesn't belong and having somebody else take care of it, kind of thing. But you're right. The cuckoo analogy makes sense.
Yeah, and now we're full into spoilers because the thing with the Longlegs character is that he is kind of an agent of the devil and is doing the devil's work, and is a doll maker that co-ops someone to help him get these dolls into people's houses it's like a religious household for the most part, and they accept this gift from the church.
The church.
And there's another tie-in. Right. This, it's not really the church that's doing this,
right?
But someone posing as it, and we'll tie that into Agent Harker in a moment, the main character. But so he makes these dolls, and he puts like an orb, a metal orb, in the dolls' heads that has some kind of weird,
let's say, black magic,
demonic, black magic or black spirit in this orb into the doll
that corrupts the household once it gets in
there and curses or starts possessing, basically, right?
Yeah, it affects everyone in the house once the doll gets in the house.
But then the father takes it upon himself to kill the family and then kills himself.
Right.
So the FBI is like, well, what's going on? These murders are happening, but they're all murder suicides, but there's a note left at every crime scene with some cryptic, demonic looking writing and symbols signed Longlegs.
Right.
And that's where our Harker agent comes in. So the whole thing with Harker, right? She has this intuition.
Yeah, like a psychic kind of thing. Yeah,
What did you think of that?
I thought that was
at first when you first saw it. What did you think?
I thought that was interesting. I mean, they used it very effectively in the scene where she, points out a house where she believes someone is at, and then it turns out to be true. And I thought they kind of didn't overuse it. I thought they kind of maybe underused it a little bit. They talk about her passing certain tests way better than other people have passed it.
Right. Some
FBI
like
kind
Rorschach
of
tests or whatever, psychological tests.
Right. And they think that this intuition that she has will help them solve the case.
Which has suddenly become hot as lava.
Yeah, as
Agent Carter says.
Yeah,
all of a sudden, and all of a sudden, this case becomes hot, and we're getting leads, we're getting information. Information is being passed to Harker mysteriously onto how to decode these writings and letters that are left at the crime scenes. She receives one on a very creepy scene.
Yeah, that was a great scene.
At her house where that
was a great scene, yeah.
She hears noises and investigates noises, and you see someone in her house from behind her. The whole time, these wide-angle shots are crazy, and it reminded me a lot of It Follows, where you have this really wide shot, and then the character is here, but you're looking all in the background for what?
Every time
walking back there. Is there something?
They did that purpose, I'm sure, because, if I have a character center camera and I have two doorways on either side of her, I'm waiting for somebody to walk by real quick, like an Exorcist 3 kind of a thing.
Yeah.
They did that more than once. They did that. That was really great. It was very unsettling.
And that's what gets you on that first viewing, because you just don't know.
Yeah, I was watching everything,
And that was a great use of the frame, I thought.
Yeah.
The connection we get, Harker is the little girl at the beginning who was approached by Longlegs. And the mother, we learn later that her mother came out to confront Longlegs with the daughter,
Mm-hmm.
and like, what are you doing here? And Longlegs basically is, God, he does some creepy sing. He always sings. He's like this glam rock dropout character, right?
Yeah, that's what
he does all these
that's
weird...
That's a good definition, yeah. He has this kind of... Yeah, perfect. Glam rock is perfect, yeah.
In his lair, there's like T-Rex posters and Lou Reed Transformer posters, and he's very into that glam rock vibe. So I don't know if he was like a failed rock star or something. I
can see that coming from Nick Cage.
It had all this weird plastic surgery and botched plastic surgery, and puts makeup on. He's just an odd, creepy character, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
So anyway, the mother pleads for him to not take care of them, and she makes a deal with the devil,
right,
to do the work that we were mentioning earlier of dressing up as a nun and delivering these.
She's the one that delivers the dolls to the homes, right,
and make sure that they do what they're supposed to do. So she's taking part, and she's trying to save her daughter, but she's kind of losing her own self doing this.
Right. Yeah. Actress Alicia Witt did a really great job on that as the unsettled mother.
She was
felt very. I was like tiptoeing in the realm of Carrie's mom, maybe a little bit.
Yeah, I thought that was what I was thinking too.
Yeah, before we met the mom, I was wondering if she was even real, if she was somehow, something in Lee's head. But we did end up meeting her.
What's interesting when you start putting together that in the movie, that Longlegs has this relationship with the mother, is that he must have had. Well, you see later that Agent Harker and her mother, they had a doll that looked like Lee in the house. So I'm assuming she must have been somewhat possessed or somewhat affected by that, right?
Who, Lee?
You would think. And this is Lee Harker, the agent?
Yeah, so...
I think she had some sort of... Through her life, she's had this affecting her.
So that is that doll being in there.
That meeting.
Yeah, that doll being in there, I was taking it as that was causing her to have the mental block that she wasn't remembering all the stuff. So in essence, we started our film, and our main character is an unreliable narrator. So we're basing our story on what she's showing us, and what she's showing us is what she's been allowed to remember.
Because of this encounter with Longlegs from 20 years ago.
Right, so that was a fun way of...
And him...
Right, of the filmmakers manipulating us via the script and within the rules that the film has set up. So I'm going to ask you, when Lee visits her mom the first time, because you saw it a second time. So did you notice the car when she pulls up in the barn?
I did not catch that.
So it might be there. I don't know.
That's
why I'm asking.
Yeah, no, I might have to see it again.
So what do you think?
I didn't catch that.
Do you think the relevance of setting it in the 90s is maybe a framing device to help us not have all that technology to help us solve a crime?
Yes.
Yeah. I think
so. The plan of the devil, or Longlegs is to use Lee to use her ability as an agent and to have a weapon, and to make this come full circle by investigating all this and then eventually finding out about the mother. You know what I mean?
Oh, sure.
Like it kind of self-prophesizes itself where the mother's going to meet her demise by the hands of the daughter at the end. So she ends up, the devil gets his way with the situation.
Yes. He's no worse for wear at the end of it, right? It's all good with him,
right?
So
he's using all these people as pawns. Even Longlegs
right.
gets used as a pawn to a degree. They realized there was a police 911 call at the mother's house at that big opening scene, right?
Yeah, they figured out that someone else. This whole time in the film, they were like there was nobody in these homes, but the family in Longlegs never was in the home. But they leave this note. So how is
Right.
that? There's no other outside third person people that comes in and helps these murderers kill their family. Yet there's a note.
Right.
So the mom must be really good at leaving the scene of the crime, because it shows her, freaking out in the car after each crime. The mother,
form, right,
in the flashbacks,
right, because she's
covered in blood, and
having to do this
to keep her daughter safe,
right, to having to do this to protect her daughter,
right,
basically.
Right.
But she's losing her soul,
right,
doing this bidding of the devil. It's creepy. The whole concept is creepy, and I think I eventually want to veer a little bit to discuss when people say, "Oh, that wasn't scary," because I'm hearing some people love it for the psychological horror of it, and then some people say it's not scary. It wasn't a scary movie, and I'm trying to figure out what makes a scary movie. I guess.
Well, because jump scares, certainly, what I mean? But that's startling.
The hand coming out of the grave and grabbing.
Right. So it's a very atmospheric film that keeps you on edge, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
There are scenes of violence in it. Some shock violence,
mm-hmm.
like you weren't expecting it. Some, right. A lot of the stuff they didn't show. The grossest couple things they showed were visiting a crime scene that had been a crime scene for a while.
Mm-hmm.
That was probably the grossest
mm-hmm.
thing. And then the demise of
mm-hmm.
Longlegs himself was violent. But I thought that those, because there's not a lot, it's not Jason chopping someone up every 5 minutes.
Right, or zombies
eating you,
or whatever.
That I thought that those little punctuations of violence or scares are more effective in a film. The film has a sense of dread from when it starts to when it ends. And I don't know what people...
Right.
But if you're looking for something... I don't know, when's the last scary movie that you saw, Bob? I couldn't give you one. Right?
I'm trying to think of like a Scream franchise movie.
Sure.
I mean, that's kind of like your traditional slasher jumping out of the closet kind of thing. Right. That's Silence. That's one form of scary, which is fine.
Yeah, that's
Silence of the Lambs really isn't. I don't think
it's a shocking film. It's not scary. Psycho.
I was trying to compare the two.
Scary scenes in it, but it's
Psycho. Mm-hmm.
It's a mystery.
It's a vibe.
Yeah, it's a
right?
Yeah.
Right.
So it's interesting.
Creepy vibe.
I appreciate like when you're setting an unsettling vibe. For the love of God, like Blair Witch Project was not scary. It was unsettling.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of a one-trick thing to it.
But it's a one-trick thing. Finding a horror movie or a scary film or a suspenseful film, I guess it's what you're looking for out of a film when you go see it. So.
There's sub-genres of it, I think.
Right. Yeah, right. There's a lot that falls under that horror movie umbrella.
Hopefully people realize what they're getting into seeing this and appreciate it for what it is, I guess. Yeah. It's not going to be zombies coming out of the woodwork and chasing you or whatever. It's more of a psychological, slow burn type atmosphere.
Yes, it's not a fast roller coaster. It's
take in, right?
It's a slow ride.
So where were we with our final analysis, I guess, with the movie? I mean, there was so much. There is kind of the cool, it breaks it into 3 parts, I noticed, the title cards. There was, part 1 was His Letters, part 2 was All of Your Things, part 3 was Birthday Girls, and each of those 3 parts kind of moves the story along and shows you the progression of Longlegs' motive, I guess. Right.
Yeah, I like the framing of it. I like like I said, the aspect ratio thing was a nice device to show the smaller ratio was definitely reflective of like the Polaroids that she had or the films that she was watching. like the Rorschach films and the FBI.
You could probably put this in a category with some of the other serial killer, psychological thriller
That's what I
slash
put it
horror, such as like a Seven, a Zodiac.
Sure.
Trying to think what else. I mean, there's just
the thing that makes
Silence
it
of the Lambs.
different is that there's a supernatural aspect to it, right?
Good. That's you hit it on the. That's
so
the
if Silence of the Lamb, if Hannibal Lecter was an agent of the devil, if Hannibal Lecter was working for the devil, then
right,
it's kind of you'll have this.
That would take it in right. It's like taking Silence of the Lambs and taking it into another level,
giving it a supernatural layer to it. And I don't want to be unfair to Longlegs by always comparing it to Silence of the Lambs. They're just because that's a real high bar. So I don't want anybody going into this expecting it.
The director and Maika Monroe both mention it. It's not like they're trying to hide that. No. It's definitely an inspiration, but I think they're trying to take it to a different level.
Right.
More of a, like you said, supernatural.
Right, there's a supernatural aspect.
I was surprised because I didn't expect that.
I think that might be the thing about it is that you're not expecting. Yeah, the supernatural aspect that's its little key twist to it that makes it different.
They're doing the work of the man downstairs, as they call it, and that's
a friend of a friend.
Yeah, and a friend of a friend. And he was and then Longlegs is living in Harker's house all these years, which is when they realized
when
later.
She couldn't open that door. That's when that penny dropped for me. I was like, okay, he's in the house. That's that whole.
Oh wow, I didn't think that at
that's
first.
That whole Silence of the Lambs, FBI at the door switch kind of thing that you find out.
Yeah, at the end. Yeah.
But what I couldn't figure out was how the mom was involved and how come the daughter couldn't remember any of it, right? Other than the one encounter. It's because she was under the influence.
If there's any criticism I hear, it would probably be the third act where they kind of do the flashback and they kind of story tell everything, basically what the plot is. With the mother doing the voiceover. And the man came over and did this and that. And then
I had no problem
kind
with
of
that.
Find out everything.
That's fine.
I mean, I think they had to get somewhere with it. Otherwise, it would have taken forever to,
you have to
forever
do
to reveal that.
That explains the mom.
So it was a little bit of an exposition dump.
But I felt it kind of came naturally.
I didn't have a big problem with it because I wanted to know what was going on. So
they don't find out to the third act that they figure out that the mom is the accomplice when they go to arrest her.
And then it becomes a climax at the end where the devil has set it up that the mom is going to take a doll to Blair Underwood's character's house. Agent Carter.
Right.
Agent Harker, Lee, comes over to see her mother at the end. It's a creepy scene when, she comes with another agent.
An agent
sitting in the house. Car. And then the other agent, Browning, is sitting in the car, and then you see the mother in the nun outfit with a shotgun coming at her, and you're like, oh my God.
What's with the nun? They're like, where's this nun all of a sudden?
Yeah. That's the first reveal of what's going to happen with of what this mother's up to. You don't have any idea, really.
You don't think she's capable of that.
Kicks into
she almost feels a little invalid when we first meet her.
Yeah, she's very almost catatonic, a little bit.
Kind of house is a little hoarder-ish. It's like, not that I can...
Yeah.
As I look behind me, and it's very...
You're in transition.
I'm in Longlegs transition, yeah. I'm not showing you the dolls that are off camera, so...
Right. So when Lee visits the mother at the end, the mother, after she kills Agent Browning, Agent Harker comes around and the mother has a shotgun with that doll that she's had all her life. All Lee's life. It looks like Lee as a child from the beginning. Shoots the head off the doll and bursts that orb that's in the doll's head, and black smoke comes out. And if you notice, Lee has black smoke coming out
as she's passing out. She has
as she kind of comes to, but kind of falls down and goes into like a asleep or something, or gets knocked out, unconscious momentarily. So there was some release of that spell on her.
Yes, that's when she could see things clearly.
It's almost too late, right?
Well, you're kind of...
Lee wakes up, and there's a really cool shot.
That flip shot, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, the flip shot of her in the basement. She wakes up, and then it flips. She gets up, and then she walks upside down out of the basement, and the phone's ringing. And we make a connection with the phone ringing because Lee had called her mother earlier from that shot you were mentioning in the FBI office, and it took forever. Well, it took a while for the mother to get to the phone, and now you realize the mother was probably in the basement, which is ooh, you get kind of creeped out thinking of that because it takes Lee a few moments to get up to answer the phone, and there's this weird voice that says something to the effect of "You're missing the party at Ruby's house" or whatever. And she was invited to the
director's daughter's birthday party earlier in the film.
Yeah. So she heads over to try to stop what she knows is going to happen.
But it was at that point when she's driving and she's kind of having the same kind of Longlegs freak out in the car.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, is she going to be... I was wondering if she was now going to be the person that ends it for everybody. But then when she arrives...
Well, I'd like to ask you that as we get into this end scene, because she meets her boss, Agent Carter, at the door. He's acting all weird, and the wife, "Oh, hi, welcome." She's acting weird. We just started opening presents, and they walk in, and her boss, Carter, Agent Carter, or Director Carter, is looking around and closing the door, and you're like, something's up, something suspicious. Right. And she gets in, and the child is sitting with the doll, all next to it, snuggled next to the doll, and the mother's sitting there in the nun outfit, and you're like, oh my God, she's walked into the process here.
Yes.
What'd you think of that?
It was good. It was to see the mom there, because I didn't think about what happened to the mom after Lee woke up, but she was.
You're right.
I did think there was going to be something with the daughter's birthday party, because the whole premise was these kids were near their birthday, and there would have been no other reason to...
Yeah, on the 14th of a certain month.
14th of a certain month.
Within a few days.
An 8-day window or something like that.
Yeah, so there's a birthday connection that adds into the letters that he leaves.
Right, so that was tensiony, because you knew as a viewer that they explained the process of what happens. So you're kind of watching it all unfold. Let's go cut the cake in the kitchen. The mom was like, I'll be right back. And the dad's like, no, I'll be right back, because he was going to take a knife.
You're going to be left in the kitchen.
So,
the dad's under the spell, takes the wife in the kitchen. You hear a bunch of terrible things happening. Meanwhile, Lee's trying to talk to the mother, and the mother keeps saying, all these odd, she's already dead, and this and that, and she's got Ruby's next, and really acting weird. And then her boss, Agent Carter, comes out, and he's all coming at her a bit, and she shoots him. And then the mother's freaking out because she's trying to get this job done, because I would assume she's afraid if she doesn't accomplish this that the devil will take her daughter.
She's still, that's...
You think?
I think that's where she was coming at.
That's the mission. Her mission was to
keep her daughter safe.
Now, I had heard that before, because Harker the mother takes out a knife, and I've heard, and I had missed it because I was not paying attention, but somebody said the mother's face changes into a demon face right before she gets shot.
I must have missed that too.
Darn it, I missed it. So the mother meets her demise by the hands of
her
daughter, right? And then the doll is sitting there, and Harker's like, I'm going to, basically thinking I'm going to take care of this right now and shoot this doll, and she's out of bullets. And you're like, at my first viewing, I thought, well, she's going to get possessed.
Right.
And take over.
Right.
But I'm not sure. I'm not totally sure on that. I don't know.
So the evil still exists in the doll, because the orb is in the doll.
Right.
So the orb...
Correct.
...is possessing the youngest child, the birthday girl,
at the moment,
because she can't.
think.
leave the doll. She's enamored with it. So we left with Lee being a free thinker at this point. But does Lee now need to complete the cycle? Because it's the presence of the evil in the doll that affects the people in the room.
Right.
But is Lee now Lee
part
now
of
that? It's a little
open-ended.
It leaves it open-ended for you to guess.
Right.
So, which isn't a bad thing.
And then we cut to a scene of Longlegs and doing his weird flourish in the interrogation room of Hail Satan.
Oh yeah.
Wink, wink, kiss, kiss, and then cut to backward rolling credits.
Yes, I noticed that. That was a nice touch. The backwards rolling credits were a fun touch.
And we're hearing T-Rex, bang a gong, get it on. And a quote from that song is at the very beginning of the movie too. While you're slim and you're weak, you've got the teeth of the Hydra upon you. You're dirty, sweet, and you're my girl. So there's a little play toward the glam rock aspect of Longlegs and that creepy history of his, I guess. So overall, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a good step in a cool direction for
a
psychological
kudos
horror
to all
movie.
involved. It was a fun, entertaining twist on the genre.
What would you double bill it with if you had a double feature? Would Silence of the Lambs be the obvious one, or
that's the obvious one? But it feels like it's a disservice to both films because they're not the same thing.
Because it's got that supernatural aspect of it.
Psycho's not really the same thing, but he's possessed by his mother. But it's not it's not supernatural.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I guess any of those police ones that have serial killers, and because a quick nod to, I thought was a nod to Seven a little bit, was when Longlegs kind of basically turns himself in. And
that was
by being easily caught and taken in custody. And it's like, okay, why is he doing this? And then it turns out he's basically ending his run.
Yeah, his part of the thing is done.
A helper.
Right? He's fulfilled his mission.
He says an interesting quote. Oh yeah, Harker says, "Who's been helping you in the interrogation room?" And he says, "Well, I'll let you get started now." And that's when he offs himself. And it's like, so
yeah,
makes a nod to her continuing
his work,
the cycle that I think the devil had planned this whole thing to eventually take over her mother, Harker's mother, and possibly
stuff
her.
To think about in the layers of the film. So that's always a good sign that a film has worked, if that's what their goal was.
And kudos to this Neon Films has got me on a run here with Late Night at the Devil, and I think Neon's got the vibe going down pretty good.
Yeah, they know what they're doing.
Creepy psychological. It's kind of like you got A24 and you got Neon, and they're
Blumhouse is
both doing their thing, and it's So everyone's kind of got their own little lane, which is neat.
Yeah, well, how many crates would you give this, Bob?
Oh, crates. Oh, yeah, out of 5. Probably 4.
Okay, I'm leaning like the 3.5. So,
yeah. So did you like it overall?
I enjoyed it. Yeah, absolutely. I walked out of there, I was like, got my money's worth. I had an enjoyable afternoon at the movies and saw something different.
My prediction was you were going to say Nick Cage was over the top.
Oh, no.
I just didn't.
He was great. I thought he was everything.
Didn't do it for me.
Everything. Oh, no. Everything I wanted Nick Cage to be in the film. I don't. You're hiring Nick Cage for a specific thing, to be either very meta, or Redfield was over the top, but he was odd. That was what that character called for in that film. That film was over the top,
right?
So
it fit him perfect, right?
Totally recommend it if you guys are looking. Anybody out there looking for a creepy night at the movies, a suspenseful evening with it. Just don't go in it thinking you're going to be horrified and you're going to be traumatized.
Yeah, don't get turned off by it's the scariest movie in decades or whatever.
I hate when people use that.
Don't let that overhype it.
Because everybody's...
I know, it's like, don't let it ruin it for you. I don't think there'll ever be another Exorcist or whatever. Right. It's just, you know what I mean? It's just enjoy it for something that you can go into cold and be surprised.
If a horror movie pulls out some kind of new a new trick, then you have my attention.
Right.
It's a hard thing to do.
Well, it's a good way to end it, I guess.
It's a very hard thing to do.
Good way to end this pod.
Yeah, they stuck the landing.
This episode.
So, good job.
All right, folks. Well, appreciate you listening and joining us for this episode. You can check us out on our social media on Facebook and Instagram at the Fandom Outpost. Instagram, we've been trying to include some of the things that we like and enjoy, collectibles, physical media, pickups, and stuff in our collection. You can check that out on Instagram. We really appreciate your support, and if you could like and subscribe, we really appreciate. We're trying to build an audience to have fun with and interact. So please join us next time. We'll come up with something new, I guess.
Absolutely.
Right? We'll see you next time on the Phantom Outpost. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.